Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Robbins, and welcome to Life, Death, and the Space Between. Today, I have Barbra Banner on the show. Barbra is a certified medium through helping parents heal, and her work with evidential mediumship, and even more recently, trance mediumship, is incredibly profound. Today on this episode, we talk about all the different ways that messages have come through from spirit. And Barbra really simplifies for us how you can begin to connect. And she makes it so easy and so clear. So perhaps you are missing all the signs that are coming for you because you're looking in the wrong places. You are not going to want to miss today's episode with Barbra Banner.
We need at our table of awareness the logician. But equally, we need the intuitive, we need the mystic.
I almost died. I was allowed to go to the very precipice of death, of life and death, and look over the edge. And I was allowed to behold what was there and allowed to come back. Most people aren't.
When we talk about being aligned with ourself or being aligned with our soul or hearing our higher self, that's really what we're talking about, is being connected to that divine part of ourself, that light-filled part of us that is connected to God energy, that is connected to everybody here and every experience we've ever had.
If more doctors, more professionals can open up to use intuitive gifts in their work, that's really important.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Robbins, and welcome to Life, Death, and the Space Between. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and medium, and here we explore life, death, mediumship, near-death experiences, consciousness, and what it all means. Welcome, Barbra, to Life, Death, and the Space Between.
I'm so glad to be here, which everybody says, but I still mean it.
I love it. And you and I connected. We were taking a course together, and someone had said to me over the course of the course, "Oh my gosh, Barbra Banner is in our course." And I was like, "Barbra Banner?" And you had reached out to me at the same time. And I was so excited and am so excited to talk to you today because you have a very sort of late and unconventional journey into the spiritual world. So can you tell us about how you ended up doing spiritual work, really much later in life than most people would expect?
Yes, we don't need to mention any ages, but I was
Which, by the way, no one would believe if they did. And it's a testament to me. It shows me what a testament I think it is to spiritual work, that when you're doing the work, you glow from the inside.
Well, James Van Praagh said, when you find your purpose in life, you stop aging. So I'm planning on that. I knew when I was like 13, I don't know, I just had intuition, things came true. And I just thought, I told my friends, I think I'm a witch. Okay, I didn't even know about mediums at the time. But not until way later did Spirit just let me know in a very dramatic fashion that they needed to talk to me. Okay, with lights flashing and fans going 100 miles an hour in two rooms simultaneously. My mother-in-law's picture flew off the shelf. A clock flew across the room, and I had orbs all over on audition tape I was sending in for something, and I didn't notice them until I just looked at it. So I thought, okay, Spirit wants to talk to me. I think I better answer. And then I took one class with Suzanne Giesemann, never even meditated before. And within 7 months, everyone was saying, you got to hang a shingle. So I did. So it went so quickly. I guess I was meant to do that.
And what was the process like for you? Because you were working, I would say, death adjacent, right? I mean, you were working in the death space. So can you tell us a little bit about that and what that was like for you? Because I think sometimes you're already kind of opening up if you're willing to move into that space.
Yeah, well, I look back now onto the three main volunteer positions that I did, And one was I spent 13 years on a crisis hotline for women, and we just, we went through everything. Then I've been at the ER at Cedars-Sinai Hospital for like 13 years. And then all of a sudden, someone told me about the crisis response team for the mayor, where we get called out and go on a scene where there's the policeman there investigating, and there's a dead body on the scene. And the family's there. They got called, and the family's there. So the police need to do their work. And I was there to comfort the family on the worst day of their lives. We had so much training. I mean, like 3 nights a week and Saturdays for like a whole summer. And we learned about every kind of death that you can come upon, because the way you react to it is different from a suicide to someone who's, run over by a car. So it was invaluable. And most people say, well, did you see any spirits there? No. I was not there for that. And they would not have wanted me to say, your grandfather has a word with you. So I just kept quiet.
Well, and I think it's so interesting because people often think, well, you can't turn it on or turn it off. But for you, it really was about turning it on.
Exactly. I haven't turned it off, but they know when not to come, and they come at 3 a.m. sometimes to give me a download or tell me about what this client needs to know. So I'm open for business,
So take us through when you first had these experiences. You attended this class. What was that like for you?
Well, since I had also done that for the crisis hotline, I was used to that, dealing with, we had, great psychologists come in, and they were always around if we needed them. So it wasn't a big, it was always interesting to me. I was like the Dear Abby of my friends. They'd all come to me for advice. And only later did I learn that my grandmother had some juju as well, and was, bringing people in like the Godfather to give them advice. They'd be lined up. And I didn't even hear about that until I had to tell my mother, Mom, I have to tell you something. I've been seeing Dad, and I don't know how you're going to take this, but I'm a medium now. Not even a beat. She said, your grandmother dragged me to tarot card readers and mediums and psychics. And when I was young, everyone else was taking a dance class, and I'm going to Madame Volushka so I said, Mom, you're almost 104. When are you going to tell me? She goes, I don't know. So people didn't talk about it then.
Mm-hmm. And did your mom have these experiences as well?
No, No, she did not. I don't think she would have been open to it. Even if she did, she wouldn't even know what was going on. I don't think that wasn't her thing.
So you go to this class, and what happens for you? How do you start? I mean, you said you never meditated before, and most people say meditation is really the way into this work. What happened? How did it start showing up for you? Because I know so many people want it to show up for them as well.
On the first meditation practice, I was so out of it. I was slipping into darkness or lightness or whatever. I really just felt it take over me. And I was, my mind was very fuzzy, and I liked the feeling. It was good. And like a day later, we're supposed to practice at home, meditating and see what happened. And on my first practice meditation, I see my father and a few other people peeking over like a wall to look at me, like, look, I think she's going to do it, And it was amazing. And I just felt so comfortable. It was very natural. So I just like a fish to water or a duck to water or something to water. And then a lot of people who channeled told me I've been doing this for 1,000 years. And that's why I just slipped into it. Mm-hmm. So I figure, okay, I found my purpose.
So in that first meditation, you have this experience. And then can you help us understand what kind of transpires from there? How does this just, are you suddenly now a medium? How does this kind of unfold for you?
It's practice and patience is what it takes. And I was doing it all the time after about 7 or 8 months. And a lot of them were doing practices with other mediums. So it was so much joy for me. People want to know how they can do it. I always say, they hate to hear it, but it's all in the meditation. It's because to really get the information and the evidence, you have to surrender. You have to just trust what you're getting. And I do believe that was the hardest part for me, even, a year ago or what. It just saying, I don't care if this sounds ridiculous. I have to say it. And it was always, they could always take it. Mm-hmm. So I have very funny guides, and some of the things they give me, I don't even know if I should say them, but I do now.
But your guides have probably match your personality. I mean, you have a very playful way of kind of working in this space, which is really refreshing.
It's great. And I hear that your guides do match your personality, and that's why you have them, so they can work with you so they work with me on the way I am, the way my soul is. So it works out well, and it can be a real a lot of OMG moments. Like, how do you even think of that? But it's all wonderful.
Can you talk a little about the trusting yourself? Because I think that's a big stumbling block. It's been a big stumbling block for me along over the years, in terms of, when I was debating if this was a space I really wanted to move into. It was like, well, am I always going to be doubting myself in this space? Because it isn't 100% accurate. Not that anything is, but certain, and people are already approaching it typically with, even if they have an open mind, a skeptical mind, right? They want to believe, but they don't want to believe. So how do you manage that? And how do you talk with others about how they can trust more fully the information, even if it's not for a reading for someone else, maybe the information that they're getting
they want
for themselves,
from their loved one. And I hear that from so many people who've lost loved ones. I'm not getting any signs. I don't feel anything. Anything I do think in my mind, I just think it's my imagination. And I say, well, yeah, it is your imagination. That's how we communicate. What it goes in our mind, we speak. So you can't look at imagination as something negative. You're getting a message, and then they realize when they think they're not getting anything. I said, what about this? Oh, I called an electrician for the lighting issue. Okay, that cost you $1,000. It's your daughter saying hello. Mm-hmm. And little by little, with things that they saw or heard, it all made sense. And I just encourage them, if you think it's them, it's them. Because what if you don't react and it is them? What's the worst you could do? Say, hi, Darla, I'm so glad you're with me. Come on in the car. We've got errands to do. You have nothing. They're always with us. They're there. They hear it. Mm-hmm. So there's no downside to just saying, okay, I'm going to believe this. I'm going to trust that is them. And then all of a sudden, I get an email. You told me there was going to be a butterflies around me. And I said, it's freezing and there's snow on the ground. There's not going to be any butterflies. She said, the other day it was a little sunny. I went outside and one butterfly landed on my heart and stayed there for 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. There's miracles out there. There's things that if you believe, you will receive. Mm-hmm. It's not seeing is believing. It's believing is seeing. Mm-hmm. If you could pivot your mind to say, whatever comes in, I'm going to trust. And trust it. And eventually your intuition is, you're not going to just dismiss it. Oh, that was just a shadow, the feather that, that landed on my neck. It's the woman's just shaking out a duvet next door or something. There's always, they find so many reasons why it's not. When if they would just find reasons why isn't it? Why not? I know that they're still around.
What are some of the most incredible experiences you've had in your professional work with spirit, but also personally with spirit?
It's much harder to read yourself or get your own family to come down and, and have a talk. So I've had
Why
some
do you
really,
think that is? Why do you think that is?
because when we know somebody so well, then we think it's just my imagination. Is it real? Did I know he likes to ski. So if he's skiing in here, we don't trust ourselves when it's somebody so close. Like it's hard to read a friend when you've known their family for so long, because that's when the doubt,
the mind kicks in.
That's the hardest thing to just get out, especially in trance, to just get your mind out of it. And so I'm always learning tricks to just focus on the spirit. Don't even think about it. My guides have given me some different ways to keep my head out of the game, like go over to the side and just like put a black bag over my head so my head doesn't get involved. I mean, crazy things, but it helps. They're showing me that get your head out. Oh, crazy things. I've got a few things that are one of the most poignant ones. I'm certified with Helping Parents Heal organization, which is wonderful.
Who don't know.
And
can you say a little bit more about the organization?
Yes, it's for families who've lost a child. And they can take you from every stage of grief. And they have groups in different areas, and they are the most welcoming, warm place where you're with community who understands everything you're feeling and everything you're saying. And it's international, and it's just an amazing place to get you started to heal. So in my readings, I like to have the client ask a question, but not tell me what the question is. Like just say it telepathically, and I give them like a boundary. And then I tell them what spirit is showing me. So this woman asked a question. I don't know what it was. And I said, well, I see your son riding on the back of a butterfly in heaven. And he's dive bombing, and he's having the best time ever. He is just joyous. And she just like started to cry, and I said, well, what was the question? She said, when my son died, I bought a book to read to my daughter, who was younger than him, on death with children and how so they understand it. And then she brings out the page of a little boy riding on the back of a butterfly. So she said her question was, what is my son doing in heaven? He's riding on the back of a butterfly. So those things, you can't make this stuff up. It is, and that was one of the most touching things. And I said, I really want to do more work for people who've lost a child, because I feel it. One of the craziest things, I had a woman who was very, very skeptical. Those are really hard. I'm sure it's like you're going in and it's cement.
Right.
Okay.
Right. They give you nothing. They really want to try to prove you wrong.
Oh yeah. All she did was give me a grade on each thing. Well, that's a little broad, but you could have got that in the newspaper. I said, okay. Anyway, so I just tried to like end it as soon as I could. It wasn't really working. And I just said, I just want to tell you, your husband said that his daughter's new symbol is unicorns. Unicorns. We don't have anything to do with unicorns. I said, okay, just saying. A year later, her husband comes to me in the middle of the night, and he shows me a half a toasted bagel, scooped out, And that's what he leaves me with. So I get in touch with the mother and I said, your husband came and he wanted to show me a half a bagel scooped out. And that's what he showed me. Does this mean anything? She goes, I always scoop my bagels out. That's not evidence. And then she said, but can you get the unicorns to stop? They're everywhere and all the time. I said, fine. And just keep it in mind about this bagel thing. Anyway, 2 days later, she said, I took my daughter to see her grandparents. And he said, her grandfather said, I invented something. And I have a prototype I'd like to show you. So he brings out this contraption. She goes, I don't have any idea what that is. He said, it's a bagel scooper. And they fell off the chair. Mm-hmm. And she was very nice to me after that. Mm-hmm. But so that one was pretty amazing. And that was one of the ones where they woke me up. A funny one, another question that I didn't know what the question was. I've got a little boat in a lake. They always give me a prop, and the client is in the front, and the girl's father in spirit is in the back, and he's just helping her and everything. And I said, and then there's a guy in the middle. I don't know who he is, and your father's getting up, and he throws him over the side of the boat. And he says, I am not going to pick him up. Just let's go. I'm not getting him. And I'm looking at, I said, what the heck was your question? She said, do you like my new boyfriend? So things like that, where we just laugh and laugh and laugh.
Is that always how you start with the readings? Is to have someone?
I do. No, I give my readings. I do a lot of the reading, their essence and things they're saying and doing and whatever. And then around the middle, I will go into a Q&A. And I hijack the first one with the one that I don't know the question. And then the rest, they can ask me whatever they want.
Got it.
Sometimes they'll, so
that's a really powerful way to sort of validate and get them right. Bought in, for lack of a better term.
Exactly. And I say, he knows what you're going through in your life now. You can ask for guidance. He's there. He's giving you sign. Ask something that he can show you. So those always, and sometimes if the spirit is a little apprehensive or somebody who doesn't talk that much, I might bring in the question and answer thing a little early to warm them up, like a game show guy who warms everybody up before it starts. Mm-hmm. And that usually works, because then they're just can't stop them after that. They're all excited. So
because some mediums I know don't necessarily let people ask specific questions, but you can ask specific questions and you'll get specific answers.
Well, in the page that I send them a document. There was one, what to expect in a reading. And it says, we don't want trick questions. Please don't ask us what your nickname was when you were 6, or, what's the name of your car that you called it when you were 16. And sometimes they try to get it through, they do. And usually I always say the same thing. I will ask spirit your question. If they give it to me, great. If they don't, spirit's going to give you what you need to know, not always what you want to know. So, this woman who was really missing her husband said, if my husband is really around me, like you tell me he is, he will be able to answer this. And I said, you okay, just say it. She goes, what was the program I binge watched during COVID? And I thought, okay, they're not going to be answering that. But her husband in spirit said Outlander. And I said it was Outlander. And she said, yes, it was. And she just couldn't believe it. But you know what it did? Because I always say spirit's going to tell you what you need to know. It lifted her up so much to know that he was there. Usually they don't answer. It's like, you just better believe it by now. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, he came through with something that I never thought, would come through. Mm-hmm. But she obviously needed it. Mm-hmm. And so I just got to let spirit make those decisions.
Right. And you just surrender yourself. It's been a while since I've talked to you about what I'm up to. I want to first start by thanking so many of my supporters who have supported me on Patreon and in my Circle community. What's so exciting now is we have my new Circle community up and running, where if you want to contribute to supporting the podcast, you can do so at different levels for different values. So head on over to my Circle group. You can actually find the link in the show notes below. And there's opportunities to continue to support the podcast. And I have to say, your support of the podcast is frankly what has kept this podcast going over time. I have been funding the podcast solely by myself. I get a little bit of money in advertising dollars, but not a lot. So anything that you can give, if you have found value in this podcast, and it's not just giving without anything back, I will give back to you. You will be a part of this community with opportunities for discounts and conversations and ask Amy anythings. But it's a great opportunity for you to support what hopefully has helped you over the many, many years. Also, there's so many other ways now that you can work with me. I am offering a group course called Live Your Life Backwards, which is finishing its first cohort this winter and has been absolutely incredible. There's retreats coming up. There's workshops. There's one-on-one sessions with me. So many options that we can work together. So make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to my podcast, and make sure you're subscribed to my newsletter, where you will get a free soul wisdom workbook to help you dig deeper into the virtues that you want to be living in this lifetime. We all need so much more spirituality now. We are in a spiritual crisis, and I am giving you so many tools to tap into your own spirituality. So check out, and don't forget to subscribe to Life, Death, and the Space Between so you never miss an episode. I want to talk about what you mentioned earlier, which is trans mediumship. How does trans mediumship look different from traditional mediumship? What?
So much different. And it has helped mediumship, my mediumship, and everybody's. It's just night and day. So for trance, we get into a meditation. And we just go through a few little steps to get our higher self out there and bring in this spirit team and do a whole thing. And the point is to get our head out of it.
Okay.
So that we don't really know what we're saying. I don't remember hardly anything after I do a spirit message, a trance message.
Different than when you do a regular reading, remember?
Yeah. I used to do automatic writing, but trance has picked that up. So in automatic writing, I know what I'm saying. I'm writing it down. And all of a sudden, they're either telling me exactly what to say, but most of the time they're just saying it through me. I mean, I don't have some weird voice it's just my cadence is a little slower, and they just give me messages and what's going on in their life and how they can look at things. They're usually wonderful messages. And when I'm done, I said, I don't know what I said, but I hope it resonated.
So
and then they'll tell me some things.
What is the difference? What is the difference? Why would someone either seek out a trans medium
I know
or
it sounds
do
like
trans
there's not
mediumship?
much difference.
Yeah.
In a regular, I get my information from my guides, or it comes in, or from the spirit. They're all working together, and I can hear things and I'll say it, but I'm not in a trance. I mean, I'm listening and looking and doing everything. When I go into this trance meditation, my head is elsewhere. I just have to concentrate on. It's just like the next step. And the fact that I don't remember what I say is different. I remember everything I say in a regular mediumship reading. I remember for 24 hours, and then I get amnesia, which is fine. I don't want to remember anything.
So do you have a sense for what is going on in your mind in the trance? Like, how do you... I'm trying to understand how you enter a trance state that's different from entering a state of, I mean, is trance channeling? Are you channeling something? Is that the
Well,
difference?
it's a gray line between trance and channeling, or trance channeling. I mean, some people bring in, Winston Churchill. Okay. And I can do that too with different people on the other side. But I've only been doing this for a year, so I have a long way to go. And sometimes I know what I'm saying. They're not my words, but I know what's coming out of my mouth, but I automatically just forget because I think we need Nico the medium to be on your show to really tell you what the difference is. But there's a level of accuracy and detail that I can get when my head is not involved. Things that may not come out in a regular session. Like somebody a mother and father wanted to know, what's it like over there? I said, let me let your daughter talk. And I said, the flowers are as big as Volkswagens. And your daughter's saying she's still doing origami. Okay, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, those are pretty wild things. She said, my daughter has a Volkswagen, always had a Volkswagen, so she was blown away by that. And she said before she passed, she spent some time in the bed in a hospital making origami. I mean, and the thing is, sometimes when I'm saying something really weird, like origami, it registers that I'm saying something weird. And it doesn't wake me up completely, but I'm just saying it registers that was really weird. And my guides have done a lot of testing for me to throw things in that do not belong there, but are accurate.
So the information more comes through you than to you? Would you say that's
Yes,
sort of a differentiator?
I love that. That's why you're the doctor. Okay. Yes, it comes through me than to me. Okay. I like that.
So with mediumship, it's like coming to you. But when you're in a trance session, you're just sort of, you're more like a vessel, and the information
Yes,
just
I am
comes.
a vessel. It's coming through. It's coming through. And some of the things they say are, you just got to say them because my head isn't involved. But it turns out to be so accurate.
Is the trance state difficult to get into? And how do you know you're in it?
There's different levels. There's light trance, there's medium trance, and then there's, you're talking in another light language or something. So I'm like medium kind of. So you just know when you do this meditation. I mean, my mentor, Nico, we have lots of meditations that, and I tape them all. So I just get myself in. And the best time for me to do it is like 3 a.m. when I'm half asleep anyway. I'm already half into the theta. And my voice changes and I can't, hyperventilating. There's different levels of it, but because those are not your words. Those are not the words that I would say in a regular mediumship for the most part.
So you're waking up at 3
sitting
a.m.
in the power. Pardon?
You're waking up at 3 a.m. to practice these sessions.
Sometimes I do, or if I have something, if I want to give a client something that she really wanted that it didn't happen, then sometimes I'll just go in and then write a lot of stuff down or speak it, and then give it to her. And they're so happy because that was missing.
Got it. Okay. This is really fascinating, this trance.
Get your head out of the game because your head does not belong in a trance session. It's got to be somewhere else.
I think I'd just like to go into a trance. I don't care what comes through. I just would love to be in that state. I mean, it sounds like what you're describing when you were talking about how this girl came through and she was sharing what things look like. I mean, it sort of sounds like a psychedelic experience that you're seeing everything very vibrant. And
especially when you do trance and you want to see where other ETs in other places. And it can be totally psychedelic, flying around the universe, on like a magic carpet. I mean, it can be pretty good, but I'm going to set that up for you. So you're going to do that if you'd like.
Ooh, I would love it. Thank you.
I'm going to do it.
Okay. I'm in.
With Nico. I'm going to have him take good care of you. And
thank you.
On a magic carpet ride.
Thank you. So what do you see as how one can get closer to these states on their own without you as the medium?
That's what I try to teach some learning moment for them in every reading. Like with my little packet that they get when they book with me, one is how to get closer on your own. Because I believe that I'm happy to be put out of business. I'll find something else to do if everybody could bring in their own. So there's a few little exercises that I have them do, so that they know that they're around, and it's fun. I say, okay, I'm going to count to 3, and I want you to just say the first item or symbol that comes into your mind. Okay, don't think about it. What is it? 1, 2, 3. What is it? And they'll go, a peacock feather. I said, okay. Within 3 seconds, and you probably know this, your critical mind would have come in and said, "Oh, I could do something better than that. Let me get a good whatever." So I said it has to be the first thing in your mind because your husband is giving it to you. He's putting that into your mind. He knows where and when you will see that. And it's always in a different kind of environment. It's not going to be, okay, she walks out and there's a peacock feather. And then all of a sudden they love that. And it happens. This peacock feather, the girl emailed me right away and said, she was from Turkey. She said, I went to the bazaar and 2 doors down, there was a sign. There was a store that just went in. And in the name of it, there was an L. And they used a peacock feather in the L. I said, your husband knew you were going to the market. He knew that you would see that. That's why he put that in your mind. And that it also helps you to believe that they are around and that they can do that and help you. So besides putting a peacock feather in, he can help you maybe decide or think of the right things, whether you want to move to, Milwaukee or you want to stay in Palm Springs. They can help you. But here's the deal. Spirit is not allowed to get involved in your life, to insert themselves in your life. You have to ask them. Same with angels. So you have to say, Dad, I really need your guidance on my next move. Can you try to, help me in some way? Let me know what you think, because I'm sort of stuck right now. And, synchronicity, things happen where they understand and they've gotten their guidance. And some people hear, it just takes time.
Right.
It takes time and surrendering, and then more things will come to you.
And trusting.
Surrender, trust, same. So you just have to.
What I love about how you just explained that was how simple it really is and how much we tend to overcomplicate it, because when we have these moments of insight, these divine sparks, we always are questioning where it came from, which brings us back to what you started talking to at the beginning, which is, it doesn't matter if it feels like your imagination, just go with it and play with it for now and see what happens. What's the worst that's going to happen? It's not going to show up.
Sign that week, then ask the next week, sometimes, but so many people I get emails just like several days later that they found it, just like crazy.
But don't you think some of the some of the problem that gets in people's ways. And I know this would probably be it for me if I was trying to connect, particularly with a child, that you want the relationship to be exactly as it was. And the relationship will never be as it was. It's going to look different.
It is going to look different. But I say you have the option. You either want to spend the rest of your life without your child, or you want to spend it knowing that they're with you. And it's hard. I mean, losing a child, there's nothing that will compare to it. But they have to meet them halfway. You know, like when we do a reading, spirit has to lower their vibration and we have to raise ours. It's almost impossible if you are in such deep grief to have your pathway open. It's like spirit has to come through cement, and you have to be ready.
And you have to be in a period of deep grief. I mean, that's a normal response to a significant loss.
You have to. You can't laugh it away. I always talk about how laughter is so important. That's our job when we lose a loved one, to learn how to laugh again and have joy in our lives. It's our job. And we have to honor the spirit. We have to honor them because that's what they want, for us to laugh again and be of service to others. And it's not too much to ask, because in the end, it's going to help everybody. They're going to get a little more points when they go. And they're going to enjoy it. I said, someday, I know if you looked at a picture of you and your son together, and he's making a goofy face, whatever, and right now, if you looked at that picture, you're just going to cry like, I can't take it. It's too much for me. I said, I promise you, one day you are going to pick that picture up as you're walking toward the door, look at it and laugh out loud. There will be a point where you can pivot, because the only thing that's going to overcome that deep, deep sorrow is joy and gratitude and love.
And Barbara, I think that is the perfect place to end, because that really just magnifies what it is all about, that you are finding your way back to laughter, joy, and love.
Yes.
That resonates so deeply with me. So for people who are interested in your work, might want a reading, tell us where we can find you and how they could go about perhaps booking a reading.
Everything you need to know about me is on bannermedium.com, and it's info@bannermedium.com. And I'm on, I put little snippets of readings on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and it's either Barbra Banner or Banner Medium 13. And you can look at all the crazy, insane things and hilarious things that happen in a reading.
So thank you so much, Barbara. And I'm so glad our paths have crossed, and
hopefully
stay crossed.
Lovely. Yes, they did. And you'll hear from Nico.
Awesome. Like what you heard today and want to hear more? Wondering what comes next and what it all means? Head over to Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere you get your podcasts and hit subscribe. Also, if you could take a minute to rate and review my podcast, I would really appreciate it. Stay tuned as we continue to explore life, death, and the space between.